Today I'm going to make a vegetable soup. I've got a few vegetables here that need using, and I've got a little bit of garlic as well that needs using up. Today has been very cold and wet. We're still in Windermere and it's been really chilly today. That sort of damp that really gets through the bones. So I thought we deserved a really healthy soup. I have a sweet potato here and an onion and a little bit of the long red peppers and some swede. I'm not going to use all this, just enough to help to thicken the soup and add some extra flavour to it. First of all, I'm going to peel the sweet potato. Today we went up to Grisdale Forest for a walk. We went at a really good time. It wasn't very busy, it was quite early. And we were there for about an hour and I took some photographs. And then we went down into the village of Coniston, where Lake Coniston is. And we had a walk around the village, went into a couple of shops, and then we had lunch in a cafe, by which time it was raining quite heavily. So we decided to head back towards Windermere and Bowness, and we had a stroll round there this afternoon, and then came home and put our feet up and had a cup of tea and shared a piece of chocolate cake. This is being chopped up into smallish chunks, that size, into the largest pan that we have in this apartment. That's all in there now, and I'm going to chop up this bit of red pepper. Again, sizable chunks. Everything's been washed, by the way. Always make sure you wash your fruit and vegetables before using them. 1 or 2 seeds don't really matter, but try to get the seeds out if you can. Making soup is always a good way of using leftover veg that you don't necessarily know what to do with, or you're not having anything else in your menu over the next 2 or 3 days that needs the vegetables that you're using. And at this time of the year, soup is so warming when you come out of the cold. It's lovely to have a nice bowl of soup, or even if you're out and about and you carry the soup round in your flask. Dan, for example, has soup a lot at this time of the year as part of his packed lunch. Cut off the end of the onions. Again, you don't have to cut the onion finely. Some people prefer to fry off the onion first, but I'm thinking about calories and I don't want to do any frying on this, so I'm just going to put it in chopped up, and then I'll do it on quite a low heat, probably for about half an hour, with some water. So that goes in. I think that will probably be enough. That I will use for another recipe. I'm making some chickpea curry tonight, so I'll use the rest of that onion for that. I'm going to cut a chunk off the swede. Again, I don't need too much of this. Cut the ends off and peel it. And then cut this again into rough chunks. At least the knives here are reasonably sharp. Always make sure your knives are as sharp as possible to avoid any accidents. If they're not sharp, give them a good run through the knife sharpener. You can get all kinds of knife sharpeners now which are quite safe to use. Always make sure your knives are as sharp as possible. So there are the vegetables. This is going to be blended later. I brought my blender up from Ramsgate on holiday, sad person that I am, and it's coming pretty useful already. I've used it a couple of times. Add some water to cover with some pepper and a bit of salt. Don't add too much. You can always correct the seasoning once it's been blended. You can add but you can't take out, always remember that, so don't overdo the seasoning. And that will go on the hob now. This has had about 25 minutes. The vegetables are nice and tender. It was simmering very gently on the stove. The hob that we have is an induction, but it's quite a slow one, which is why it's taken a bit longer than it normally might. Find not only do ovens vary in temperature, even if you have it set to a certain temperature, but hobs can be the same. I'm spooning this into a bowl with a ladle, and I'm going to give it a whiz, and then I'll return it to the pan and correct the seasoning and just reheat it, and then we can have it for our supper. I'm going to return it to the pan and I'll just have a taste. And I'll just add a little bit more pepper. The salt is fine. Dan and I like our soups quite spicy. I'm going to add a little bit of water as well, just because it's a bit on the thick side. That should be enough. This is ready now. I'll just put some in the bowl. So here it is, my vegetable soup, full of autumnal goodness and a really bright pumpkin colour, even though there's actually no pumpkin in it except for sweet potato and a few other bits and pieces.